Looking for a fast-charging, ultra-responsive stylus for your iPad? Meet the 2X Fast Charge Active Stylus Pen, designed for 2018 to 2025 Apple iPads. Take your creativity and productivity to the next level. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
The world's richest dictator worth 150 BN in African country, with largest oil reserves. Some say this famous dictator could have died as the richest man in the world at the time. He amassed huge sums of money while ruling his country with an iron grip, but his reign eventually came to a violent end. After more than 4 decades in power, he was overthrown, forced into hiding, and ultimately killed by militia forces. The dictator in question is Muammar Gaddafi, the former leader of Libya, who is estimated to have controlled a fortune of £150 billion, $200 billion, before his death in 2011. According to the Los Angeles Times, his wealth was secretly stored in bank accounts, real estate, and corporate investments worldwide, a figure double the amount that Western governments had initially suspected. Gaddafi's huge fortune was made possible by Libya's oil. The country has the largest proven oil reserves in Africa, with crude production forming more than 90% of export revenues. Read more: Egypt's richest man worth huge 7 BN, the 4th biggest fortune in Africa. At its peak in 2010, Libya produced 1.8 million barrels of oil per day. However, much of this money never benefited the Libyan people, as Gaddafi allegedly siphoned off huge amounts for his own use and control. Western governments froze a significant portion of his assets in 2011. The United States alone held £24 billion, $30 billion of his funds, while Canada, Austria, and the UK froze billions more. According to Forbes, while some of these assets were managed by state-controlled investment funds, Gaddafi had personal access to the country's wealth whenever he wanted. Gaddafi seized power in 1969 at 27, leading a military coup that ousted Libya's ruling monarch, King Idris. He ruled first as revolutionary chairman and later as the self-styled brotherly leader of Libya's so-called Jamahiriya, state of the masses. His rule involved strict authoritarian control, human rights abuses, and political repression, though he also invested in housing, education, and healthcare. Don't miss: the world's richest jockey worth 750 MN, more than AP McCoy and Ruby Walsh latest. The world's richest country for gold, with a huge 529 BN fortune, incite the world's richest leader, worth 162 BN, more than Donald Trump and Xi Jinping reveal. We use your sign-up to provide content in ways you've consented to and to improve our understanding of you. This may include adverts from us and third parties based on our understanding. You can unsubscribe at any time. Read our privacy policy. In the 1970s and 1980s, Libya became increasingly isolated due to its support for militant groups and its involvement in terrorist attacks, including the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland. The country faced economic sanctions, and in 1986, the United States bombed Libya, targeting Gaddafi's compounds. However, in the 2000s, Gaddafi attempted to rebuild relations with the West. He abandoned Libya's weapons of mass destruction programs, accepted responsibility for past attacks, and sought to reintegrate Libya into the global economy. However, this period of relative stability ended in 2011, when the Arab Spring sparked uprisings across North Africa and the Middle East. Mass protests against corruption, repression, and unemployment erupted in eastern Libya in early 2011, quickly escalating into a civil war. NATO intervened, backing rebel forces who sought to overthrow Gaddafi's regime. As the war turned against him, Gaddafi went into hiding. He was eventually captured and killed in October 2011 in his hometown of Sirte. Reports suggest that after being dragged from a drainage pipe, he was beaten, humiliated, and shot multiple times by rebel fighters. His death marked the end of his 42-year rule, but left Libya in political and economic turmoil. Despite its huge oil wealth, Libya remains unstable more than a decade after Gaddafi's death. The country has been plagued by conflict, political divisions, and armed militia groups, which have repeatedly disrupted oil production. According to Libya's National Oil Corporation, NOC, the country currently produces 1.43 million daily barrels. While this is an increase from previous years, it remains below the 2010 peak of 1.8 million barrels per day.